Omurebu wito murungi wa Tayari West nakutangira izoba ryo rwamukaga runje kasheshekeri izoba ebironi bishatu byenyini turyo mu kwezi kwa gatano nimba tangira omukwezi oksya n'amashemero mingi mnonga program Abato Donah Kabz omutebekanisa kabutosha twemerire omukibuga ecyambara turi ahari mbara municipal school ishemero runje niho twakora program Abato nakuretera bingi erizoba mu ryebo twine debate nungi mnonga y'abana ba municipal otakayiba twine public speaking atwine news anchoring hamwe na news reporting abana kuba kushoma makuru kandi kuba girl reporting kuba rugashaka ecyo nicyo kindi kumanyisa twine culture things ebitaguro n'abana bo kutushobora obunyakare ebyo bunyakare no munyamashemero tubyakirimo kongishemero yambara municipal ebyo byona babine akane ningumiza mundi kugira ntabana mugendeje omubuhumura bahumura izoba ryo rwa mukaga etawune ni yagayageryo ne yagayaga abana ndabataha nimbendeza ebuhumuro ebirungi kandi mutekinje keya ebyo byona ndiyo nimbukuretera aharimbara municipal erizoba deka nkwate mukache otakarga aha Tayari West turebere obwire bwingi tutire tutayira amashomero guturukora mu program Abato konga kandi mbara municipal school nibingi mnonga ebiti yatoreka izobe runjiryo rwa mukaga so ebishara bitu ningashi environment yitu ayituru kubana tutura ningashi ayituru kubana tutaha nibingi kubasa kuya mukandi bukatigira umugasho ebishara bitu kwantereba nutema omushanga abantu nibabyosya nibakora kiburi kimwe cyona ito nitubasa kuhindramu ebintu byo mutano kandi bukubasa kutiyamba omufuture yitishi ningashi omubwire bwo misho ningashi omwoshanga twabuguza twatunga sente akana kecho nkanya nikibanshimeza kurungi mnonga twabukozesa omukoro byahinduka mu culture things ningashi ebintu bitukozesa mu culture ebitaguro okuzina okutera indinjiri bici byone ebyo mpaho nashemero mnonga kushanga ngo abana kabantu babyekorera kandi babigire kinde kibabasa kubihindiramo kandi bakwetoha
Ahurira Jackson
uri mutaganga
ndi muchamshanje
kandi ndebe mwine ebintu bingi munonga nyowe nkanye Donah Kabz bintu kumanya niba bukora bata ningashi mu bitunga mutakureba ngo mwabihamu ekico cyenyine kimwe kubana mwenda ecece niki
ejo nenkofira kandi nekozesebwa bintu bingi nk'emikoro y'abanyankole ninga obumwe oshanga abazeyi bitu bakare abazeyi bitu bakare babijwire n'obumwe noshanga omuntu akijwire abokugira ngu mbwenu omushana nigubasa kuba gwaba mwingi kwenda obundi akayeyamba atambire obusaso bwayine. Eje nkofira nibagikora mu bintu bingi nka papyrus reeds ezikwiha omu bishara ebi n'ebintu eby'abantu bakubene barenka ebitiine mugasho kunkata amashomero amarungi nka Mbarara Municipal School nigabikwata gabikozesa omu kukora ebintu birikubasa kuyamba bingi nk'eje nkofira.
Amazina yenyine yahereza Trevor Richard kandi ndi omu kibiina kya mushanshu.
So Richard anendeba hampaha akaka nichi
ejinendiro kandi ejendiro nibagiriramu emere nkoburo on events like kare nkambaga on parties like home hate ezinzuba kurira mu buro kandi this is a material from kamba ejikamba no kwata kamba hatuko kwata ezehuzo budeya hatuko kuba no suba hatu osuba ko kwatsamu hato suba then okorechi
so no kukikore kibo
ego
so wabikwegise
mama echi no kare waiza like when you are winnowing hate bintu correctingire bintu then the residues hate ebyone byasigaraho hate kubisigaraho hate obinaga like ningo obuteka nko mu mutsari gwawe ebyo nibikora nka marches.
Omugasho gwe kiniki no kweroburo
okay ngeno ekyo kintu ninka mwana bakikozesa omu mikoro nk'okutwara ebeje nkofira ekyo kintu mbwenu nkiyamba omukukora music eyakubasa kuba mbwenu neshemeza abantu kandi nabwe nekikora gye tonto nabereka amakuru yakubasa gakora.
Okay, tishiri aishomero rya Mbarara Municipal School kandi turiyo nitureba ebintu bingi munonga ebyompaha ebiri kutushemeza nk'itwe abaryo kompaho onori barukweta orugari ombunyakare abantu abakare nagamba orugari numba ni mu ncenga omashomero kirungi munonga nashemerera bwishomero rya municipal kushanga abana bamanya gukora ebyo bintu kandi babyekorera so ni kirungi munonga washanga abana bakora ibintu nkebi omuntu nuje kushanga yaguza ezengari yatunga kasente kandi nyenkeye yaba nungi ebibo mwabireba mpaha mwabireba obucheka mbubu no butukubamba kozesa omukoro ya hati yo bunyakare batari kugira ngo washango omukoro bari mbasabingise chupa za soda ninga obusheramba buhero mbukopo bya plastika apana kuba kuretera kacheka nka career ni wohura no girote umanyango ne kintu kirungi munonga kandi mbitogesa kugira ngo abana bitu nabonyensya bamanya ekibakubiremba kora kandi kibashemeza kurungi munonga ndiyo ni kuretera bingi munonga otakargata ya West
Seri ya mirenga ngakitera kashana katagata kairima katwata maisha mpuntu imasi irabwaga kabarabara kata macuma kuntengana kondruya nakatakanje katatine bajonga kampento cyose nakamishe tubihenda oti mumpa maraka ngamba mzee ndekintu kirunje narahangana tsumaka yati umuntu kwanza Adam na hawo munsi yajatu muzare muzense otinye nja kusimara heditsa bitu municipal school mukamu wa tire heditsa muri murunje mukama yebare rango katereza umuntu nyamurunje mukaka mukogo mbwent kamugamba kirhanga ebambe eshini nkusima nyira mtuma gwanje mukama tinyine kinagaka mukino mukama kureka kukomaho.
Bang, the remote Emanuela Era is my name. I begin my pitch in 3, 2, 1. Education is the key to unlocking the golden door of freedom. A famous quote from George Washington. Honorable members of the 11th Parliament, Mr. President, Minister of Education and Sports, distinguished guests, I'm honored to stand before you today to discuss the importance of access to education. Education is the backbone of any society. It is the key to unlocking the full potential of our citizens, the foundation upon which we build our future, and the tool that enables us to unlock the golden door of future. The power of education. Education has the power to transform lives, communities, and nations. It has the power to break the cycle of poverty, to promote economic growth, and to unlock opportunities for all citizens, regardless of their background or circumstances. The benefits of education. The benefits of education are numerous and well documented. Education leads to better job aspects, higher earning potential, and improved health outcomes. It also promotes critical thinking, creativity, and problem-solving skills, which are all essential for today's century. Despite the importance of education, many citizens in our country still lack access to it. This is due to a variety of factors, which include poverty, location, lack of infrastructure, and it's our responsibility as the Parliament to address these challenges and ensure that our citizens have the access to education, regardless of their background or status. In conclusion, I urge you to join me in recognizing the importance of education. Let us work together to ensure that all citizens have the access to quality of education, and that we provide educational opportunities to all and make our country succeed. Together, we can build a brighter future for all and our future generations to come. Thank you.
By names of Mark Kugui, I begin my poem in 3, 2, 1. The world is so beautiful for this human race. We have destroyed the planet. We are a total disgrace. Animals extinction. We are not far behind. We have abused this world. Floods are plenty. The lands themselves are burning. Oh, how we'd love to lose. We are not far behind because we have started burning those fossil fuels. When we don't know to do so, we shall regain the land, and we shall make trees support our life. Oh, we deserve to lose this wonderful roof. Thank you.
I stand before you to talk about corruption. Corruption is the abuse of entrusted power for personal gains. It is a disease that weakens our institutions, undermines trust, and hinders progress. It exists in many forms such as bribery, nepotism, favoritism, and embezzlement. The most devastating impact of corruption is its ability to embed inequality. And in the end, it is the vulnerable who suffer the most. A case in point. I had a friend. This friend of mine was called Shanice. Shanice had a mother infected by HIV/AIDS. Shanice and I were good friends, going to the farm together to graze animals, fetching firewood together, and doing very many things together. Whenever Shanice failed to pack something to eat, we would share. What a good relationship we had. We were upright academic-wise, supporting each other in academics. This was proven after getting 4 at PLE. But the most unfortunate day in Shanice's life happened, that dark day. When Shanice and I were just in our Form 1, Shanice's mother was greatly infected by the disease she had been suffering from for many years. So Shanice and I decided to take her to the hospital. On reaching the hospital, obviously her mom was nearly dead. So in reaching her to the hospital, the doctor was like, "Where is the money?" And Shanice seemed to look confused. We asked the doctor, "Which money are you talking about, yet you have not yet even seen our patient?" Do you know what the doctor's response was? "Go see it if you don't have the money." And Shanice kept confused. So we decided to take her to another hospital, whereby they tried to treat her, but unfortunately she died. So Shanice was greatly affected by this doctor. After the mother's death, Shanice and I decided to fight against corruption, forming groups to fight against corruption. So in conclusion, I urge all of us to remain vigilant against corruption. Let us lead as an example, to live where change begins with awareness and sustainability. Lead by example and build a future where intelligence and fairness is not just ideas but realities. Thank you.
Twareba ikirukweta storytelling nomanya kare obwire bwitu tukatwine abazire babetu shitama nabo oshanga bari kukuganira stories ndingwa munonga hazagire ki wapikingamo konka hati no generation zikija zahinduka mu mashomero twatandika kwega what we call storytelling. Twareba story yiteri zoba yanegamba corruption oburi bwenguzi omuyihanga nakitumanya twena burumu tuturabure kukigambe cyo burumu konka do tubwire bwinje munonga konka burumu no wakwinspire ningire kwereza is it storytelling it.
My trainer is called Kakuru Arthur.
Kakuru Arthur na shangwe.
He's found within Bara. He's a student at
demo. I don't know where exactly studies from, but he's good at storytelling.
So corruption nkiwo ko kujigambira abantu abariyo nibareba tayari TV we like story yawe watugambira corruption kuba jigambira abantu ninga shoka planning utakugira ngo benje yuwagambira abantu, not any other story.
I saw that corruption affects both the public and private sectors. It affects us the students too, so I had to talk about it.
How? You as a student?
By telling a story in order to inform the elder about it.
Okay. So omwana yatugambira omugasho gwa storytelling nugo guha kante katecintoriyo nareba tayari west ine chwa picking amukandi cyatogesa munonga abana b'amashomero nabo bonka bakuba bari mu mashomero nibashoma corruption zo mu mashomero ziriyo echo ntikigamba tino bukakafa bwo kuba we have seen tubirebere binje munonga kunga kandi kuba ntugigambira bwashesha bwizire corruption mukareba habaho akesharengo papura bakabahanika abantu binje munonga corruption yaba corruption kunga kandi kuba ntugijimirira tokamanya omwihanga ebasa kwija kuba netendera story ye nonje munonga ndiyo ninkugumiza muni nkuretera binje munonga otakarga tayari west.
With the earth on the line, how long can we wait? Good morning, I am Noe Hannah and I'm here not just to tell today's story, but to help you see the world a little differently. Let's dive into the headlines that matter most. The Save Rivarizi Marathon, Uganda Cranes blames its supporters for the failed match. On 25th April 2025, all walks of life in Bara City participated in the Save Rivarizi Marathon, funded by the International Crane Foundation. Rivarizi lies in the southwestern part of Uganda. The participants of the Save Rivarizi Marathon raced to Rivarizi, and Mr. Akandinda Lawrence was awarded first runner-up. At the river, a lot of plastics and non-biodegradable materials were found at the shores. The participants helped to clean a big number of rubbish and then sensitize the residents on climate change and waste management. Later, residents that were convinced by the speeches brought by the participants of the Save Rivarizi Marathon joined them and planted trees along Bara City. The marathon was chaired by Mr. Kakuru Arthur, and he re-echoed to the nation that environmental awareness is one of the key points. Comrade Verna, what are the challenges facing the project turning in trying to restore the river to its natural form?
But we see that the challenge that they are facing, especially these rivers in western Uganda, it's water pollution. Leaders that take over these rivers are thinking that 90% of this water pollution is done by citizens who settle along these rivers, and they are trying to sensitize the people about this water pollution. Thank you.
Wow. And how are leaders helping in the project of trying to help Rivarizi go back to its natural form?
The leaders, Otafire Ivan, the LC1 chairperson of Riz Village, has bought 100 tree seedlings recently that should be planted along this river. We see that this river is a source of water to many districts in Uganda. That's why he's doing a great job to save this river, Riz. Thank you.
Wow. Well, in other news, Uganda Cranes blames its supporters for the failed match. Uganda Cranes had a friendly match with Crystal Lions, and this match was held in Mandela Stadium. The match was stopped in the first quarter because 3 players from Uganda Cranes fainted and 2 players from Crystal Lions fainted due to the scorching sun at the field. The coach says that all this is caused by the residents no longer caring about how climate is, and the grass in the field was all dried up, and whenever the rain comes, it ends up either as a flood or it rains in 1 minute and the rain is gone. The solution to all this is protecting Mother Nature. And there you have it. I remain Nowe Hannah.
Yes, omurebu wito murungi owa Tayal West izoba nirungi mnonga tukirye mu kibuga cyambara aishomero ryambara municipal school ishomero rurungi mnonga program y'abato ntunagikuretera izobera nyenze kandi tubasa kubatiga handi tiriceje gotel fort portrait turikagade turinkahe konka izobera nyemerire mu kibuga ecyambara abana mwabareba abakushoma makuru nanaboga reporting abogashaka gateretera kurungi munonga ninjira mwabahura nibakwetoha
Manyeta Nowe Hannah.
Nowe Hannah uri mutakanga
P7
nareba noshoma makuru noho owarebira ukahura waje ninga habwenche mu games zona twine debating twine culture dances games ni nyingi munonga ninga shebyo kuwa kubiri no samu kabire biri bingi munonga habwenche wachuzingire okukora news anchoring okushoma makuru
nkachuzinga koya news anchoring because ekyo kubanza okutushomesa nometa teacher Martin ataka koze ebyo kushomesa akari news anchor wa mahure. Yes, so akana inspiring angu news anchoring nekintu kiri very interesting ekyo kubasa kora kaninge sente nyingi kabanka ba Samson Kasumba. Yes.
Okay, so omuri ebyo yo nanohura ononda kuba kiwamara kukushoma
nyenda kuba professor fashion konka journalist nayo nyenda gikora so ninkora ibintu bibiri byona
naso nonda kushoma course ya journalism deno kamanya kushoma ndijo course.
Yes,
amazina ninya kandi nda Verona
uri mucyaganga
P7 class
abwencho activities zona otararonzere kindi cyono ninga shokaza nko kureba no nango yegaranjire nko mu kushoma by'aba doctor ninga joshanye no nango participating mu game zizindi munonga abwencho wagiye tunyore kangezeho news reporting
omuriyachi kare twine co-curricular activities nyinji ka sports debate konka nyonko muntu ketuzinga debate because I'm seeing many honorables in parliament are earning much in these debates and they already say akatkachinu kakachara kabisi. I think they started the way how I've started and that's where they are.
Okay, so kati jirengo muri yaga majingo ndakitengere ngucyubeho habaho ka accident umukibuga cyambara so bayoherezayo yirikangoze ku reportingira agamakuru ninyeno mpereze makapera.
This is Akandenda Verona, we're live in Barara City where we have sad news round today at 7 p.m. We have seen a fatal accident that has taken place along Mbarara Kampala Road where 3 people have left this world, and this was something that is difficult to some of the citizens, and we pray for their souls to rest in peace.
Wow, this is so nyenja karogo no turabentu begirango yemero mu district ya Kagade ninga Fort Patrol ninga hoima ningo shanyari nka hero kombaho na tu reportingira amakuru kandi turukunu yitwe mpaho nashemero mnonga abana kaba kandi amashomera binji murebere ahishomero ryambara municipal school akana mwegaranjire abana mukokarishira activities zimwe na zimwe ndeka omwuga gona omwana making sure ngo at least yatekayo okuguru kumwe tokamanya nyensya abo kuba yatabire munyamakuru nyenche kandi abasa kuba mushaho nyenche nabasa kuzo mu bintu bya culture dances zoshanye ngitumweto umukoro ngo atagurira tizinde kandi agira kasente akiyatungamo ndiyo ninkuretera binji munonga dia otakarga Tayal West.
My speech begins in 3, 2, 1 panel. The affirmative case of today agree with the resolution of today, whereby it says that this House believes that African countries should prioritize climate change over economic development. And what do we see as the keywords in the resolution of today? One, we have prioritize. Prioritize is to give something an upper hand, not necessarily leaving the other one out, but just giving it an upper hand just because it has greater impacts. to climate change. Climate change, this is the variation in the different climatic conditions of an area. These examples of climate change whereby we have problems like global warming, the heat waves and the tornadoes, to mention but a few. Economic development, this is why you find we are developing economically on high status quo or low status quo. And what do we see at status quo as the characterization of team affirmative? One, we see the benefits of prioritizing climate change, of giving it an upper hand. One, we see climate change is the urgent problem at status quo, and how can it be solved? When we give it an upper hand, what are we benefiting? Because we see people are the major cause of this, people and the industries, and we are prioritizing climate change because we need to solve this problem at status quo. And how can we solve it? By giving it an upper hand. What are the benefits of giving it an upper hand? Whereby people will not face the problems of like poverty, whereby we are solving it by investing in the green technologies. These green technologies, first of all, they are providing jobs to people. When they are providing jobs, a person will not cut down a tree just because they want money. He will not cut down a tree just because they need land for settlement. That does not stand on at status quo, whereby we are solving the problem better. We are providing these people jobs. People are investing in the green technologies. It is earning income to the people, to the government itself, whereby we are solving the problem at status quo. We are solving it better. We are solving two problems by investing in one, whereby when we do not give climate change an upper hand, what are we seeing? When we do not give it an upper hand, the people will face other problems, whereby these other problems like the tsunamis, these hurricanes, whereby the heat waves, the global warming, it is affecting them negatively. When it affects them negatively, remember, they are destroying property. When these natural disasters destroy their property, obviously they will have to do the negative activities to solve their problem. Obviously, when they do not give climate change an upper hand, what do we see? In their side of the case, they say the economic development should be the first priority, but it does not stand, because when we give economic development an upper hand, remember this economic development majorly bases on industries. These industries majorly the mechanization of the industries. Remember, these industries release fumes to the environment. When they release fumes to the environment, they're in fact causing the problem, which is climate change. And we are in this together. We need to solve the problem of climate change, not necessarily depending on economic development, whereby economic development does not solve the problem at status quo better than we do. We see that the benefits of this climate change, whereby there is need for international resilience, whereby this international resilience, we have international funding from other countries, whereby we should not face the burden of prioritizing, whereby we should not face the burden of funds, whereby we need the funds to prioritize. We are doing this in a period of 4 years, whereby 2 years will be used for sensitization and 2 years will be used for implementation, because we need to solve the problem. And in this case, this climate change needs to use the climate change policies, whereby these policies are helping us solve the problem. Without these policies, we cannot solve it. Without these policies, whereby these policies majorly are talking about maybe like the sewing. When you're caught in a bad climatic problem, where in a bad climatic practice, you are destroying the environment itself. You are not promoting biodiversity conservation, and it is not solving the problem better. We need a sustainable solution to solve the problem. That's why we stand to base on these 4 cardinal points. 1, investment in green technologies. 2, urgency. 3, international cooperation. Whereby on the first case, urgency. This is why you find the urgent problem is climate change. We cannot base on something whereby it is not urgent. That's why we are saying that we should give it an upper hand, not necessarily leaving economic development or removing it out of the picture, but we are giving it an upper hand because people are the ones facing the problem, and without this, they will face other burdens of economic development. That's why we give it an upper hand. 2, investment in green technologies, whereby we are solving the problem twice, whereby on the other side of the case, we are solving the problem of shortage of money, whereby this money, when people invest in the green technologies, the protective measures, they will not face the burden of disasters, whereby these disasters are the ones destroying their property, whereby they will obviously have to cut down a tree maybe to get wood fuel. They will obviously have to drain a swamp just because they want to get money. Then when we give climate change an upper hand, we are solving the problem better than they do. And international cooperation, we are not facing the problem of shortage of funds, whereby we are solving this together. And African countries need to solve solve this because these African countries, remember African countries are below the poverty line. When we are investing in the green technologies, we are solving the problem better. We are cooperating internationally just because African countries are facing the burden of climate change, which needs to be solved at status quo, not necessarily depending on the economic development, whereby economic development, obviously it has to face problems like corruption. Corruption is a major problem that drives the economic development, and corruption does not stand because, see, when we base on the economic development, remember there are these officials. These officials majorly based on most of them are corrupt. When they are corrupt, they are not allocating funds for climate change, whereby when they don't allocate funds for climate change, the problem will keep on exacerbating. When it keeps on exacerbating, people will face the disasters. Instead, they are developing the root cause instead of solving the mitigation problem, whereby in our side of the case, we give them our views and we stand firm to say that Team Affirmative wins on this case. And that's why we say that without prioritizing climate change, we are facing other burdens of economic development. And how can we prioritize something, yet it is the root cause in the first case, on their side of the case, or in their world? In the long run, when we are prioritizing economic development, we do not benefit. That's why we win the resolution of today. Thank you.
Thank you, panel. My speech begins immediately. When these people come and talk about climate change as a necessary issue, we should first find something that will affect the people directly, because poverty and immediate human needs come first. And what do we see now? Over 400 million people in Africa live in extreme poverty, according to World Bank. What does it mean? When I go and fund climate change, other than first focusing on what is pressing the people urgently, it means that I will not be helping the people, but now I am going to be affecting my own self instead of helping also the people, because also economic development is essential to lift people out of poverty, provide jobs, and improve health and education. Why would I come and focus on climate change? Yet I know that climate change is only accessible and understandable to a certain portion of people, but why economic development is a pressing factor for the whole economy. And also economic development enables climate resilience. We are not necessarily ignoring climate change, but we are also putting it in the picture. But what do we see here now? A strong economy provides resources for investing in clean energy, infrastructure, and disaster preparedness. Please wait, I'll come to you at a certain time. A strong economy provides resources for investing in energy infrastructure and disaster preparedness. And also, when you're going to find this climate change, you also need a lot of money and support from the economy. So now, how will I first get that money? I will first develop the economy so that I can get the source of that revenue. Unlike people who are funding for climate change, of which this climate change shall not satisfy the people. When you just tell them climate change without them seeing the real changes in their society, they are not going to front it. And also, without economic growth, African countries lack the capacity to adapt to climate change or implement green solutions. This is why we say that these case should first focus on the pressing factors of people, and then it will come later to climate change, because though it is not ignored, but it can come as a secondary to economic development.
Thank you, the panel of today. What do we see in this case? We see that we are either prioritizing climate change or economic development. On our side, we prioritize economic development because we have something that is more effective. Why find that we already have a reliable source of income, and like them who are trying to bring their international cooperation, but we see that a certain body or a company cannot fund you from the first day to the last day. We see that it might not be a reliable source of money. We find that we are not necessarily funding these industries which are polluting the environment, but you're using eco-friendly industries. We find that we are promoting the better climate, and we are also promoting the good reliable source of money for combating climate change. I do not think a person who is hungry cannot fail to cut down a tree. That's why we see that after the people have got jobs, after we have gained our own money, not necessarily depending on foreign aid, I think that we see that the people will combat climate change better in a way that they already have money, in a way that we already have a reliable source of money which is permanent, and like them who are depending on foreign aid and their international cooperation, which is not
dependable. And while doing the work, we also enforce this greener energy. Not necessarily that we are going to use these industries which pollute the environment and so on. Why I find that even if a corporation or industry cuts down a tree, at least that industry will be told and be enforced to plant 3 more trees. So that means that we are prioritizing economic development, not necessarily negating climate change, in a way that, yes, these people are talking about that maybe constructing an industry and then it is destroyed by floods. But I have already rebutted that by saying that if a company cuts down a tree, it will be told to plant 3 more trees, and we shall enforce that law in a way that it shall work, not necessarily finding that our industries are being destroyed, but finding that we are promoting economic development over climate change, but in a way that is still working according to our side, and it is still working better than their side.
Judges, what we look as the major problem? This is a priority debate. So what we prioritize? Either climate change or either economic development. So what do we look? There are the clash points in the resolution of today. Our clash point is urgency, which is climate change, and their clash point is poverty. But what do we look that causes poverty in the first case? We look that poverty is already caused by these bad weather conditions which are brought to by climate change. Because if you now say that you're building your industries, yes, providing jobs to people, yes, at the end of the day, floods just come and destroy the industries. People lose jobs, industries are destroyed, income generated becomes low. So isn't that leading to poverty? Meaning in the first case, climate change is the one that leads to poverty. So what should we look at solving the root cause, or should we look at focusing on the mitigation? We would rather mitigate the root cause instead of only focusing at the benefits. So judges of today, what do they come and tell us? They come and say that economic development provides jobs to people. Yes, you provide jobs to people today. Tomorrow industries are destroyed, people lose jobs. So what is the matter of people just getting jobs in a short period of time? We would rather invest in green technologies where people can get jobs. Yet when industries are even not destroying the environment, meaning we are promoting economic development later on, and still people are having jobs, still combating poverty, unlike their side where they don't look at the main cause of poverty in this case. So dear judges, what do we come and tell them? We come and tell them that these industries release fumes. They come and tell us about using air filters. But we understand the government has been telling industries to bring these air filters, but only few companies have adopted that, and the rest haven't adopted. So should we just keep there? Telling industries adopt this, or should we be as people come and solve the case alone, instead of coming and keep telling industries who have their main case as generating income? They no longer even care about investing in green technology because they see that they shall get less money. So our dear judges, what do we come and also bring? We come and tell them that Bududa faced these landslides, and why they refused to plant trees. So now what was brought? Now we see that Bududa is now among the poorest districts in Uganda because it didn't adopt to solving climate change, and now their industries were destroyed, their people's homes were destroyed, people died, and when people die, this medical care, even this health, even medical care, health, whatever facilities are even spending more. You earn a lot of income, and you even spend a lot of income in treating the people who have been affected by these changes during climate change.
Thank you, the panel of today. Why do we see that as we think negative should take the resolution of today? First of all, the root cause of climate change is poverty. Why do we say so? The panel of today, we see that when a person lacks money, that's the reason why they resort to cutting down trees, to polluting the environment. Unlike them who say that this climate change, yes, climate change worsens poverty, but in the first case, what caused poverty? What caused climate change? It was due to poverty. The panel of today, that's why we see that we should first front economic development instead of first fronting climate change. We are not ignoring climate change, but we are first fronting this economic development. And they have said that we are not trying to cure the problem later, but what are we doing, the panel of today? In the long run of promoting economic development, it's not like we are only going to base on pollutive industries
because we will still remember there is another problem, which is climate change. So we are going to develop eco-friendly industries, not necessarily polluting the environment. And a case in point, in the policies that we are going to be introducing, we are not going to only be, when one industry cuts, like when an industry cuts down a tree, it shall plant 2 more in a way that we solve climate change and again develop the economy of an area instead of only focusing on one which does not support all. By the way, what's the relevancy of promoting climate change and at the end of the day people again come back and destroy it? Because I will be poor, I will have nothing to do, I will have no other alternative instead of going and destroying the environment because I am poor. And like you who are only focusing on climate change, but we are prioritizing economic development. In the long run, we solve climate change. And like you, yes, you may bring in foreign aid, but the moment you want to tell us that the moment the foreign industries, these foreign companies stop funding you, climate change should end? No, the panel of today. That's why we should first build a good foundation.
Thank you, panel. I'm here to discuss this motion with the opposing team, and I'm here to ask them, how did the floods that affected the people of Bujumbura leave them baseless and restartable? No, they had to where to begin from since they first fronted economic development. And a skyscraper can be demolished, but to an economically developed country, it is nothing, since I will be having the funds to restart it. And when I focus on climate change, even the information is not effective, and still the building comes and becomes demolished. How will I become able to recover it? I've been using all my money. And we are improving people's resources, not promoting development of productive industries. We are just helping the people to improve on their resources, because sooner or later people realize the importance of the importance of developing. Then they will now start seeing climate change also as a major issue. So they are going to now also front it. And we are also not dropping climate change, but we are also siding it with economic development, but we are seeing that economic development should be put on the front line. And like them who think that climate change should be first so that economic development can be possible. But we, in our case, we think and believe and we stand firm to say that economic development should come first so that the people can be having where to begin from in their climate change research.
But no, Team Negative loses out on the resolution of today. Why? It does not understand the context of the root cause of the problem as status quo. Whereby the root cause of the problem as status quo, first of all, it is climate change. And how are we solving it? By investing in the green technologies, whereby they see that as a minor case. But when you do not set this strong foundation, people are losing. Remember, these industries are releasing fumes. When they release fumes, in fact, they are increasing the ozone layer will be destroyed. When the ozone layer is destroyed, obviously people will have to look for money to solve the problems that they are facing. And how are they solving that problem? They are not solving it at status quo. Whereby Team Affirmative, what do we bring? On our side of the case, we tell them that we are setting a stronger foundation just because we need the cooperation. They tell us that it is unreliable, but in our side of the case, it is very reliable. Take an example. We are setting a stronger foundation just because we are getting money. When we are setting a stronger foundation, that stronger foundation is helping us to invest in the green technologies. Now, when we invest in the green technologies, their funds, remember, they have been funding us. So the funds that we shall have are very enough. Now, when we invest in the green technologies, we are solving the problem of poverty. Should we leave the problems that are coming just because we have money? That's what they come and tell us. Because on their side of the case, they told us that they solved it just because that Bududa was not baseless, just because of economic development, but it does not stand because they invested in the better solutions. But just take an example, when you just based on economic development, in fact they are increasing the root cause. Should we just risk just because we have money? Now when you risk, these disasters will keep on coming. Those are the more lives that we are losing just because of the disasters that are coming at status quo. And how do they solve the problem? They do not solve the problem at all. That's why we stand to say that on our side of the case as Team Affirmative, we give very much substantive speeches, and that's why we say that we win. In our side of the case, Team Negative loses out on the resolution of today. And thank you. I'm proud to affirm.
Okay, izoba n'urungi orwa mukaga bwakera je kunuye mu kibuga ecyambara erizoba nyemerere ayishomero ryambara municipal school kandi ishomero urungi munonga mu kibuga ecyambarara a program y'abato erizoba ntunaje kuretera kurungi munonga so wotakaye buzo tudonorinkayi district zone watu etantu bazaza kwantushika ishomero ryawe kukwisyaho ebirungi byona ebitukubantu coveringa on program y'abato erizoba turiyo notereba habintu bingi munonga umuryebyo harimo debate abana bambara municipal batera challenge izoba eganya kazoba so batoreka debate n'ikimanyisa ki aha mwana muto turebero bwiro bwinje abebembeze nibabura kutujekera abwenshonga zo kugira ngo byo kugamba nibaba tabine kushanga iwo abantu bakujekera bakutamo bwese go bakutera karuru ko ngatokemera gamisho gabo kugira eki wabahereza what we call public speaking n'ikimataringa aha mwana muto munonga nyenche karabo nibo barabe barabameya bambara nibo barabe ba RDC ba deputy speakers ba member ba parliaments ba councillors bitaza nkanye Donah Kabz na niwo ryo kunoreba Tayari TV nchibanshemeza kurungi munonga erizoba debate y'abana yanshemeza ahariwe nananye nintekateka ngusine H2 motion twagireba African countries should prioritize climate change over economic development aharyoko hinechi wapikinga mu binje munonga bambagamba inshonga bazishobora akandi byatwegesa binje munonga ndiyo nimbukuretera binje munonga otakarga aha Tayari TV. Tuchiri harimbara municipal school orwa mukaga ronjero rizoba kandi tuine abeja bwa program y'abato twarebe inshonga zitari zimwe na zimwe kandi turiyo tuyongera kubeyongera obumisho kurungi munonga abana bayetebekanisa bwe cyumuro ecyatamu yo kubanza chete first tamu akandi abana batwire ayishomero for good months hata abana ba breaking off mugana amashomero gahumire nangwa nabandi bakiriyo nibahumura orwa mukaga already izoba mbakwetoha
Mayeta atwinere ya mhanje.
Muhanje ryo mchakanga?
Niyo mchamshanje.
Aha, director umamweto?
Director umamweta cha Dismas.
Dismas. Mbakweto?
Utafira Ivan.
Utafira Ivan ryo mchakanga?
Mchamshanje.
Mwahumwire? Omugasho gw'cyumuro niki?
No kuyamba abana kumze mutwe yabo na no kutunga shazo kushome babe batakutumbwe na ishomero babariyo babatende shazo kushome binte bimwe then atun bakwate bitabona bagarka bashoma then ba recording.
Okay, so mbone muriyo muzo mu cyumuro. So uri nozo mu cyumuro?
Yes.
So mu cyumuro no kwana ukora biki?
Ninkwani nyambabaze banje mu metari mwina mumka na no gumanyenza kushoma kuzana imangu tuwekanisa pere erabhom omukwezo kwa mwinda.
Okay. Okay, nitugumiza mukureba abanda beje kubetebekanisize ecyumuro kandi tukamanya eva kuza kubana bakora yo nibyo biha katerete abandi tumanye inshonga nizo ziheze bari no baza gukora umucyumuro ecyatamu eyo kubanza. Okay, what is a holiday umuntu yakubuza ngo cyumuro niki?
Time kitwa abana bamashomera agutufuna time to relax no revising batwereza mu class.
So abana bashira mu cyumuro nkiwo mwana muto mugenzi wabo no bahereza buhabuzi
no kuyamba bazire bakarivisinga na munonga kura bazire nico kubanza.
Okay, omwana womojo ecyumuro numugasho cyahariwe
icyumuro nkinyamba abo kugira ngo ninyamba bazire banje kandi ninyege binte bitari mu na bimwe kandi ninyamba kugira ngo nishome bitabo kandi nishome bimbire ntaka kwasire nandi ayishomera
emirimo nkeho mu cyumuro
ni ndi sente za kuzeshera ntekemere nyozi y'ibintu nkebyo.
Okay. Kandi ogogo nawe nintekateka ngo yunoza umucyumuro cyatamye kubanza. So how was school? Ishomero ribende shati no matubetiga ishomero.
Mbwenu ruberje tushomere nobwe twasreje kandi ebizambi tubyo natwabikoraje twarebeka ngo twahika.
So hato mu cyumuro ryunoza kora cyabwo ncota kaninjira ayishomero na hariho businge tariho kuza koze bintu tariho kuza kusubura embuzi tariho kuza kuzomu rutoke kuza kusharura rutoke manya kuza gukora kuhinga gukora cyagwa cyo urko nahura nonda kuzomuka umucyumuro agwacita kwenda ngo guma ishomero.
Impura nyenda kuzomuka abo kubambwenu abazire bitu twirebero binji mwe tutabareba kandi nabwo no kuzayo tukabayamba mbyo nebibara ebira bene bikorayo kandi no kubatina.
aha oshemerire kubana ukora cyo mu cyumuro iwe nko mwana wo mwisha bo kwaterebera bwiro bwinje abana babishiki basiskire cyarenga na haza hamyaka mito munonga ata yanga age so nkiyo mwana wo mushishimeye kubana ukora ki wazo mu cyumuro
nazo mu cyumuro ine kumanya inkora imirimo yo muka and nyine kumakinga sure ngo tinashobora get abo kuba nibinje byo nibe happen ibintu
bibaho
yes ibyo kubaho aheru ya gate abantu nibabahamba nibabiba so umchumo ni expecting kuba ndio mukankore mirimo nano kuyamba habazire nano kushoma ibitabo cyo kubanza ni impabura abazire ngo bagire bwiro bamaraho n'abana babo kuba manyaje kubaheza attention nano kumakinga sure ngo activity yarenga
okay aha mwana owo moje nibakweto
Merit Eugene Mikura Merit Eugene Mikura
okay n'ikirungi munongatse amwana wo mojo owazo mu cyumuro no muhereza abo habuze cyabo kwa tubetegeje mero obwire buringwa turyomisho gabashemesa ba heritage bitu abashemesa mbakotekinga control bazo mu cyumuro hati abazire ababashija yaza kwimuka mukasheshe yaza hamurumo takwenda kumanya mwana wo mojo yamusiga so no bahereza abo habuze aha bana bazo kwedena n'abazira bayakira abana
abazire bo nimba haburango kubaracha abana babuje babegeze mirimo note mu kayonga babegeze n'indi mirimo ibakubasa gukora okweyamba kandi n'abana nabo nimba haburango eba bene begayishemero babikoromuka kandi benje kuyamba bazire babo nabo batunje hakira kabo konka batakayikore bitabo hati nchibasikano basakoreho ka TV kace konka utajirenzi kandi ugumeno yamba bazire bawe oborobere kandi ugumeno shome bitabo
okay aha muzire ogoryo uri kumekinga shongo yareka umwana aha TV abo ko terebero bwire bwinji abazire hati twahiro twahumura umwana waza kushikayo yamukwase sumu yamukwasa laptop mwene tiyamuhereza bwire kureba ngo yagere ki yakora aba bazire baroba abana babeta ba planned kids na ba bahereza babuze abana batayiba mu cyumuro kece kitwazamo
nababahereza utabajemera konka of course responsibility akuba harayibishika kandi bakareta ibintu bir pornographico kuna no kushito mu bintu bikushisha mutwe hatu no shanga ba planned kids ubwire bwinji bazum bintu bitakwatirine na nahiba age yabahe kushika bwani haburanga babahereza konka babukose responsible babere gukora research batagumiza kandi bakarengana
okay n'ikirunje munonga nora musyoha
Namtia heritia witu Mr. Kwasiwe Wilba but bet patrons witu Masento Mary Mbabas na Amanya Success na OB Municipal School agawa Martin.
Okay nuba habo kwendeza icyumuro kirunje abana twaze mu cyumuro umwe babiri bashatabo kwendeza icyumuro kirunje
ni nyendeza bazire banje samganye na namanya naume abadensi banje abende kushoma nabo abacyamushanjo bandi ni myendeza n'abashomesa banje icyumuro kirunje
oyatebeka nisota bwatamu ya kabiri abo kube cyumuro no kigufu munanga kandi ntuza kura kukagaruka so noza koza sote cyo cyumuro kureba ngo wagaruka umuto gwawe gukiri so good
icyumuro kinyenda kuyamba bazire banje kuba yamba umurimo yabo n'umurimo yanje Nenda kushome bitabo bo nazagaruka gukora beginning of term 1 nkoreje kukiza last term.
Okay n'ikirungi munonga umwe babiri bashata bo kuramutse kwa hero mbaho.
Nyenda kuramutsa aba P7M members bona nyenda kuramutsa abazire banje aba relatives banje n'abandi
n'ikirungi munonga twarizoba eryanyakazoba rwa mukagarungi robiro bishatu byenyini twatirishemero ryambarira municipal school umukibuga cyambarara numuza kunyikiriza rwa mukagarungi rorizoba netubasiburaha netuje kuba twatagana rwa mukaga orurkwija mutakarga harta ya west